acronym of acquired immunodeficiency syndrome that is happening in the humans. Now, past over a decade, this disease of AIDS has increased drastically, especially in the USA, and to control it, there are preventive measures on, but the cure has not yet been discovered. So for this case, especially, prevention is any day better than a cure, because a cure is not yet out for this. And not only that, but AIDS is a sexually transmitted disease, so care needs to be taken for that. All the preventive measures, we'll talk about them later. Now, for AIDS, in the year 1986, Dr. Montagnier in France and Dr. Gallo in America, they discovered the virus that caused AIDS. So they discovered that the virus that caused AIDS was the HIV virus over here. Now, HIV virus is nothing but the human immunodeficiency virus, and this virus, it has a capacity to infect the whole of the immune system itself. Now imagine a place where you have a lot of microorganisms around you and your immune system is not working at all. When your immune system is the one that is responsible for every second resistance that gives to diseases in your body, like a common disease like common cold, if you don't have your immune system with you, could kill you. So that is why maintaining the immune system is really important. Now, human immunodeficiency virus, it just infects the immune system and it lags it behind. So as I told that there's no cure for this now, it is very important to take preventions and precautions for the disease to not occur to you. But there are situations in which that people have been under the contradictory conception of that AIDS is being transferred to people through shaking of hands, through sharing of food, through talking to the person, and this has abandoned the people with AIDS completely because of the certain misbeliefs and misconceptions. So just shaking of hand or talking or sharing of food are not the factors that are responsible for the spread of AIDS. The factor that is responsible is the sexual contact with the infected person, and that is why it's an STD. So you need to just make your mind open, you need to keep your mind clear, and you need to be supporting those people who are going through the bad times with these diseases. So next time when you realize that whenever all this thing has ever happened with anybody by any chance, so do not abandon them, instead give them the motivation to sit with you, to talk to you, because we are social animals, and we are humans in the end. We need each other's support in the end of the day to survive the day. So just be a little supportive, just be a little helpful, and keep your mind open towards whatever it comes, and take the precautionary methods for whatever you do. So AIDS is not only spread through just the sexual contact, but it is also spread through the needles and through towels and brushes. So what you need to do is take care that next time when you go to a doctor for your vaccination, take care that the needle that he's going to inject in your vein is sterilized, is unpacked, is sealed, and not unpacked. The packed one should be used in front of you. If the doctor is using the needle that is not sterilized, ask him to use that one, because sharing of needles is one important factor that causes this. And the next one would be the sharing of towels. Prevent using the used towels or used handkerchief or used tissues for your own sake, because there are fluids from body that are released while after having shower, and the towels have the chances to soak these fluids. So once this fluid from supposedly an infected person enters your body, you have the chance to contract the disease. So to prevent this, try having a separate set of towel at your house too, because you need to be hygienic for your own self first to maintain the hygiene for others. Then this treatment can extend, actually the whole cure is not found. The treatment for this is exactly not found. It is still in the process of finding. But there are certain medications that can be suggested and prescribed for you to temporarily fight with the disease and to just build up your immune system. So the treatment of this can last for a lifetime, it can last for a lifespan. And to create awareness of the AIDS over the world, this is a disease that has just spread like in a very few and very short time. So it's a very serious thing actually. So there is a day named as World's AIDS Day that is celebrated on the 1st of December, and this day is just to create an awareness about AIDS and about what AIDS is and how could it be transmitted, about how could it be cured, how could it be prevented from being transferred. So this is one important point. Now ever since over here, the first time when it was discovered that the disease is, there's a disease named AIDS that it is existing, obviously the news came to India, and the India devised a national AIDS day control program, and that program was in India in the year 1987, and this program just created an awareness about what was the ill effects of AIDS, how could it be transmitted, what could be done to prevent it. And usually these programs are for that, just like I explained to you about the Pulse Polio campaign. So from all these points, we also learned that there are hospitals, and these hospitals will provide free treatment to the people who are infected with AIDS and who cannot afford the treatment for it, because the treatment becomes a little expensive over the while. So these hospitals, what do? Is they give them free medications for combating with the problem of AIDS and combating with the disease, and they also give them the privacy and the confidentiality to keep their terms and clauses closed, so that everybody feels open to go and get themselves checked and tested. Especially when a woman is pregnant, it is very important for her and her partner to be tested for this test, that is the HIV testing, just for the reason to take precautionary methods so that the child does not get the problem, the disease of AIDS. So we'll repeat the whole explanation part again of AIDS. What we learned was AIDS is the acronym of Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome, and it is a sexually transmitted disease. It's an STD. Then we learned that in the year 1986, Dr. Monter in France and Dr. Gallo in America were responsible for discovery of the virus that caused AIDS, that was the HIV virus. Now, HIV virus is nothing but the human immunodeficiency virus that infects the immune system of an individual. And once the immune system is affected, there is no cure for that. So always prevention is better than cure in this case especially. So a simple disease like a simple cold could prove to be lethal for you. So once your immune system is disturbed, there are chances that you could be contracting a number of diseases from back to back, and it would be very harmful, because immune system is one that works 365 days in your body. It is at every level. Your skin is also the part of the immune system that is there, because it prevents the entry of microorganisms into the body. So the treatment of this can extend for a lifetime, because there is no specific cure for this. The doctor would just give you antibiotics and would give you other medications to just keep the immune system on the borderline. Now, to create its awareness over the world, since it's an epidemic, it's a pandemic disease. Pandemic means it's spread all over the world, not in just a specific area. So the World AIDS Day is devised on the 1st of December to create an awareness about AIDS and about the ill effects of AIDS, how to prevent it and how to combat with it. So there was also a National AIDS Day control program in India in the year 1987 that was devised for the same purpose. Now, for AIDS patients, we need to understand that these diseases do not be spread through the hand contacts or shaking of hands or talking or sharing food, but it's just an STD. So you need to be open and you need to be motivating enough for any other individual to come and talk to you freely about it, and to just you be helpful towards towards them, because they need motivation and they need support in the end of the day, because they are going through a very tough time. You need to be helpful for them. So we'll just have a brief summary about whatever we learned today. The lecture is done over here. I hope you understood about most of the diseases and their symptoms. So just to brush it up more, we will go through the summary of the lesson. Now, we learned in the start what diseases were. We learned that diseases were nothing but they were an abnormal state in which the organ or the part of the body or an entire organism was suffering from the ill effects of microorganisms and infections, which would finally lead the whole body to have a very unhealthy and a lacked state, and would not make the individual that is infected with the disease feel balanced. Now we are done with the whole lecture. Now I would just be repeating the whole lecture in short, giving a summary of it to you, to just brush up whatever we've done on the top, and then we'll move further to perform the exercises and to have the answers thorough with us. So we started with learning about diseases, like what were diseases and how were they caused. So we learned that disease was an abnormal condition in which the part, the organ of the body or the whole organism in itself was subjected to a very lacked state and was not in a very healthy state. The health cycle, the balance of the health was disturbed completely because of this. Then we learned about why these diseases are caused. We learned that there are microorganisms present all around us in air, soil, water, or even the food. So we learned from that there are certain microorganisms that are good for us, that are beneficial, and there are certain microorganisms that are not good for us. So the ones that were not good for us were known as pathogens, and these pathogens have the capacity to infect an host organism. Now, what is a host organism? A host organism is when an individual that is subjected to the disease or the infection by these pathogens is the host in this case. Then we learned about the types of diseases. We learned that there are three main types of diseases, that are epidemic diseases, just like AIDS. Then there are contagious and there are communicable diseases. So epidemic diseases were the diseases that were widespread and could occur at a large space with a large number of people being infected at a particular time. And the example for that I gave you was swine flu, a recent occurrence. Then I gave you about the plague. AIDS is one example of that, but AIDS is actually pandemic because it is a worldwide phenomenon. So the next one we learned was about the contagious diseases. In contagious diseases, we learned that it is a disease in which the microorganisms are directly passed on from the contact to the ill patient or to the patient that is infected with that kind of disease. And the example for this was tuberculosis, because it's a contagious one. It spreads through the contact of and the medium of air. Then we learned about communicable diseases. In these, we learned that the diseases that are transmitted from a medium, that means indirectly, with the help of microbes, are known as the communicable diseases. Now, these communicable diseases were the diseases that could be transferred from the medium of food, air, water, and the examples were typhoid, cholera. So we further moved on to understand about the incubation period of a microorganism. Now, there's a pathogen. That pathogen enters your body. So immediately when it enters your body, it does not have the capacity to infect it at that point. There is a specific period of time that it takes to infect the body and the body's immune system and cause the disease in the host organism. And the period is fixed for the microorganisms that they take time to infect the healthy individual. And this fixed period of the microorganisms to cause the infection is the incubation period. Then we learned about the resistance, that is the immunity of an organism. So the resistance of an organism played an important role in fighting back to the disease caused by the microorganism. So we learned in that if an individual had a strong resistance, the individual would be exceptional to the case of the microorganism causing it disease, while it would be vice versa if the individual would have a weak resistance. That means immunity, in other words. So if the individual's immunity or resistance would be weak, it would have more chances to have the disease by the microorganism. Then we learned about the different types of diseases. In that we learned about the diseases like cholera, typhoid, enteritis, rabies, tuberculosis, AIDS, and about 2-3 more. So we'll be covering those in the exercise section. I explained to you about their mode of transmission, their mode of infection. I explained to you about each disease's symptoms. I repeated it twice for you. Then I also explained to you about the prevention and the treatment that was necessary for this. Lastly, we also understood about dehydration. We also understood about vaccination. So in dehydration, we understood that dehydration is nothing but when the body gets dry due to the loss of water from the body by loose motion. And dehydration could be coped up in diarrhea with providing a ORS solution, that was an oral rehydration solution. Now this solution had the essential simplest sugars and balanced salts and water that could be absorbed by the intestine, because the intestine in the case of diarrhea was disturbed. The absorptive capacity of the intestine was disturbed completely. So what happened was, when these basic sugars and salts and water was absorbed in, it gave the patient relief for a while, just for coping up with the disease. Then we learned about vaccinations, that vaccinations played a very important role in preventing certain diseases and also curing most of them. So we learned that vaccinations were either injected or they were taken orally, and vaccinations help to strengthen the immune system of an organism. It helped to strengthen the immunity of an organism. We learned also from the section of vaccination that vaccinations were not an unnatural process of the medication, but it was very natural, and it was produced by the advent of science and the modifications in the medical field, and it was very helpful for our body. We learned about the polio disease also. In that, we learned about the Pulse Polio campaign that was devised by the National Health Department of the government, and it was an initiative where it was made sure that every child in India below the age of 5 was given the oral vaccination for polio to fight back polio, because polio causes a deformity and it hinders your pace of walking. So at a specific day, there would be a survey about the number of children in the houses to the remotest corners of India, and maximum the people who would be covering this would try to cover maximum number of children to take this vaccination. And the main purpose behind this is to eradicate the problem of polio from our country. Then we learned about the tuberculosis. We learned how it was so very contagious because it spread through the medium of air. The symptoms were like, in the aggravated situations, there would be spittle, the blood and spittle, and therefore this tuberculosis crisis was another importantly increasing disease that was seen in India. And to just go on to the statistics, it is seen that there are from every 3 minutes in India, there are around 2 people who suffer from grave tuberculosis and die every 3 minutes. So this has become a very main point of concern, and its control and the eradication of it is really important. So there are organizations like DOTS who have initiated the treatment to give treatment to people who cannot afford it, to create an awareness about the symptoms and how to take precautionary methods for tuberculosis. And the National Health Department is obviously very supportive about this, because the main concern of them is to have a healthy India. And a healthy nation is the one that has the most portable and the most working people and has ignited minds in it. So having health is really important. Then we also understood about how can we prevent diseases and how can we cure them and how can we have the treatment. So we learned about 5 basic steps actually. The first step, we learned that the first method that we could take was to prevent the consumption of food from outside and to have nutritious food, to have a balanced diet. Second one we learned was to have filters and have water that is potable and free of microorganisms, to use water, boiled water every time. Third we learned was to have the vegetables and the fruits to be washed and consumed, because this would reduce the number of microorganisms on the surface and prove to be healthy. The fourth we learned was about the vaccinations, about how they play an important role in the eradication of this whole diseases that have been caused over the wild. So for most of the diseases there is a vaccination to cure it. Then we learned about to take medication, right medication at the right time that is suggested by your doctor, and to complete the course of medication to have the best impact of it on your body. So here we are done with the summary. Let's just move on further with the exercises.
No more spending your energy and money on coaching classes, or missing classes for rain, for rally, and any other nonsense. Subjects covered by multiple teachers with repeat telecasts. Doubts, concepts, applications, no problem. All explained through great and significant animation. So sit back comfortably in your home and watch Study Spectrum TV channel.
So the next we're going to carry out is the first exercise, that is, what will you do if? So these are 4 conditions you have with yourself, and for every condition I'll be giving you a set of answers that might be valid and that might not be valid. So you need to choose the best option for yourself. Also, I'll be giving you the answers for every question that is your every condition. So you get a chance to retaliate your answer with my answer and know whether you chose the correct option or not. So let's just start with the option. The first option is going to be, what will you do if your friend has contracted chicken pox? Now you could do 2 things either. First thing is you could sit with him or her and support them, play with them, talk to them. Or second thing, you would choose to stay away, maintain distance from them, and support them at the same time and disinfect the apparatuses that they use, like the clothes that they use, the utensils that they use while they are sick and they are ill in this period. So for the ones who've chosen the second option with me, their option is right. We know that chickenpox is a contagious disease, it spreads. So it is well suggested and advised to us to rather stay away from the patient, to prevent the measures and also take the vaccinations for this disease of chickenpox. So that is why, since it's a contagious disease, it needs to be maintained with a distance, and we know that contagious diseases spread through the contact with the ill people, the ill patient. So the answer is going to be the second option. Let me just write it down for you people. So I'll write it in bullet points. So I'll write, since it's a contagious disease, it has the ability to spread through the contact with ill patient directly. preventive measure for this would be, therefore, the preventive measure would be to avoid contact. And the best chosen option would be to stay away for the period of infection when your friend is infected. So let's go with the second condition, that is, what would you do if the diet of a person covalescing after typhoid is to be planned? So we know that typhoid is a disease that is caused by communicable disease section, and in this there's a lot of loss of water and dehydration, and the other symptoms are that the body weakens and there's sunken eyes. So the option for this would be that it would be wise to start from a very balanced and simple diet like yogurts and fruits and vegetables, raw fruits and vegetables and green leafy vegetables, in order to increase the absorptive capacity of your intestine and your stomach. And because the intestine and the stomach has been in a very coarse situation where they were not able to take the nutrition up and the salts and sugars up from the food that you were consuming, the absorptive capacity of these ions and salts was so decreased. So if you would directly give a very heavy diet to the patient who just suffered from severe typhoid, it would not be wise and it would have an ill effect on it. So better would be to start from baby steps to go to the next huge steps. So what would be right for this is that the option for this was to start with simple diet, and that includes green leafy vegetables, fruits and yogurts. For the intestines, absorptive capacity to be well established. So this answer was very obvious, and I hope that everybody got the right answer for this. Now let's move to the third situation, that is, what will you do if a child in a class has AIDS and is an AIDS patient? So would you choose to abandon that kid and not talk to him or her, or just avoid them, not to try to make contact with them, not to share with your tiffin boxes with them? Or would you do a second thing, that is, would you give them a helping hand, talk to them, motivate them, share your tiffin boxes with them, and support them through what they're going? So if you thought about the answer, that is the second answer, that was the right option, because we know that AIDS is a sexually transmitted disease and it does not be transmitted to any other individual by just shaking hands or talking or sharing tiffin boxes. It gets transferred to people from sexual activities, from usage of same syringes, from usage of same shaving kits, and from the usage of same towels, or also from an infected mother to the child that the mother is going to give birth to. So that is why it is advised for the mothers who are pregnant to undergo the HIV testing, that just to determine whether they are positive or negative in HIV, for the safety of the children, of course. And therefore the answer for this, if we chose the second option, was right, that you would be providing a very helping hand to the child who has AIDS in the class, and help them, support them in the activities they perform, since AIDS is not a sexually transmitted disease. So the answer for this is help, support and motivate the AIDS infected child since AIDS is an STD and doesn't be transmitted through normal contact. So to overcome this misconception and misbelief is a very important part in the society, and this factor, this part starts from you. If you bring the change comes in the near future. So open your mind and be very willingly acceptable to what comes to you. The next one is, what will you do if a person having cholera is to be given temporary but urgent treatment? So would you be giving them the food materials that would be heavy to eat, or would you be giving them simple balanced solutions that would be suggested by the rules of the National Health Department? So I guess the second option is going to be right. For all those who chose the second option, give a pat on your back, because the answer is ORS for this. I explained to you about oral rehydration solution, that's ORS, that consisted of a mixture of balanced salts, of sugar and of water that increase the absorptive capacity in your intestine. And since there's a lot of loss of water and there's diarrhea that's happening at this stage in the disease of cholera, it is very important to give a little relief to the patient, and this relief can be given to the patient with the help of ORS, that is oral rehydration solution. So that is the answer. I'll just repeat it again for you just to be clear with it. So what would you do if your friend has contracted chickenpox? Now you know that chickenpox is a contagious disease, and you know that it spreads through the contact with the ill patient directly. So what you could do is to prevent, you have the preventive measures. To use the preventive measures, you would be avoiding the direct contact with them, and so that this disease is not spread into you and over the infected period of time, since your friend would be infected. So that would be a wiser option. The next one was, what will you do if the diet of a person convalescing after typhoid is to be planned? What would you do? You would start with a simple diet, and that includes simple green leafy vegetables, yogurts and fruits, because the simpler the body gets, the better it is. And also you would continue ORS for them, that is oral rehydration solution. The next one is, a child in your class is an AIDS patient. What would you do? What would you do is you would help, support and motivate that child who is infected with AIDS, because AIDS is not what he or she chose to have. It was transmitted from their parent to them. It was not their choice in the end. And we know that AIDS is an STD, that's a sexually transmitted disease. And it doesn't be transmitted through the normal contact of sharing food or shaking hands or talking. So for preventive measures, it is totally safe to talk to these people and motivate them, because we are human beings in the end and we need to support our race to move further and to flourish. The next one is, what will you do if a person is having cholera and is need to be given temporary but urgent and immediate treatment? You would do nothing, but you would just give them an ORS, because that is the only thing that their body would accept. And ORS is nothing but oral rehydration solution, that consists of simple salts and sugars and water in it, that increases the absorptive capacity in the intestine. Since while cholera, people undergo diarrhea, and diarrhea is nothing but excessive loss of water, so it's a wise option to give ORS. Now let's move with the further part, that is the give reasons section. The first give reason that we have is, one should drink boiled water during epidemics. So what do you think is going to be the main reason for this? Why should one have boiled water during epidemics? Because we know that water is one main medium through which the diseases spread and they become epidemic over the wild. So controlling over the water, over the consumption of water that we have, is really important, and it needs to be kept in mind throughout, because boiled water does nothing but it kills the germs inside it. The germs are the microorganisms that have the ability to cause disease and have the ability to go and spread the disease through waterborne sources. So I'll write the answer down. The answer for this is that one should drink boiled water during epidemics, because the boiled water kills the germs inside the water and makes it potable for consumption. The boiled water kills the germs inside the water and makes water potable. And also that many diseases are in epidemics are waterborne, that means spread through the source of water, are waterborne. Thus, it is important to consume boiled water. So let's move to the second give reason, that is, people should avoid going to public places who suffer from communicable diseases. Now we know that communicable diseases are spread through a medium of air, a medium of water, a medium of food, or directly, indirectly from the person itself. So for this reason, the people who suffer from communicable diseases should avoid going, because if they enter the public place, it is a possibility that other people around them will contract this disease and cause infection to them. So to give answer for this, you can form it like: people should avoid going to public places who suffer from communicable diseases since communicable diseases spread through the medium of air, like air, water, food, or even the patient indirectly. And risks other individuals to the infection. Therefore, for their safety, the people who are infected with communicable diseases are advised to stay home and not go to the public. So one example for communicable disease was tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is spread through the means of air, and that is why a TB patient is usually kept isolated. So you could add one example to that too, of tuberculosis. The last given reason is the wound caused by a dog bite should be flushed clean with soap and water. Well, the good reason for this would be that answer for this would be that because the wound that was caused by a dog, when the dog bit the individual, it caused the entry of the microorganisms and the viruses inside the body. So it takes a little while for the microorganisms to enter the body. Therefore, immediately the first primary basic step to avoid the disease of rabies is to flush this wound with soap and water to make it a little sterile, and immediately take the vaccination shot. So the answer for this is the wound caused by a dog bite should be flushed clean with soap and water, because after the dog bite, there is chance of the virus to enter the human body through the wound with the help of saliva of dog, and cause rabies. So flushing it with clean water would just prevent it temporarily. infection. So now we're done with the give reasons. I'll just repeat it again to you in case you didn't follow the answers. So for the first give reason was one should drink boiled water during epidemics. The answer for that is one should drink boiled water during epidemics because the boiled water kills the germs inside the water and makes it potable for usage. Many diseases in epidemics are waterborne. Thus, it is important to consume boiled water during epidemics. That was the answer for the first give reason. The second give reason is people should avoid going to public who suffer from communicable diseases. The answer for that is people should avoid going to public places who suffer from communicable diseases because communicable diseases are spread through mediums like air, water, food, or even patients indirectly, and it increases the risk of other individuals to contract the infection. So hence it is advised for the people to stay in the closed areas while they are having this diseases infected onto them. One example was of tuberculosis, and tuberculosis being a very communicable disease, it spreads through air, and therefore the patients are kept in a separate chamber for the while till they get cured. So the wound caused by the dog bite should be flushed clean with the soap and water. That is because the dog bite, when the dog bites, there is a chance of the virus to enter the human body through the wound that was given, and this is also done with the help of the saliva because the saliva of dog has the virus of rabies inside it, and once this rabies virus is introduced into the body, it would be very harmful for the individual. Therefore, the individual is suggested to wash that wound with soap and water to hinder the rate of the virus to infect the human body, and immediately after that take rabies shots.